Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is the progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. Remember, you can also send me a tweet to EGBERTOWILLIES, that is, at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is politics done right.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics Done Right. I'm Egberto Willies, your host. Thank you so kindly for being a part of the show. We are going to have a great show for you today. I've been on a mission. On a what did President Bush call it a few years ago? I am on a crusade. And what crusade am I on? Well, you see, right now the big fight is, or not the big fight, the big issue right now is to have Democrats cowering. The big thing, and it is something that I don't think Democrats are taking seriously enough. It is something that the Republicans are doing, and they're laying the foundation, and I don't think we are laying the kickback hard enough, fast enough, well enough. So here it goes. The idea that these guys are intending to do is to go ahead and immediately make sure to start hitting Democrats with the socialist meme. The socialist meme is everything that they're going to do. And I am going to be dedicating a whole lot of time to going against, a whole lot of time to pointing out to people, don't allow them to put that meme on you. And if they put the meme on you, express what you intend to do. Express what you support. Express the policies, the humane policies you support. If they decide that they want to call that socialism, reverse the table on them. Because what they will be confessing by stating that those good policies that you want, what they will be stating is that the current policies that are currently bastardizing Americans, that are currently hurting Americans, are really not good. And what system is that? Should I say it? The capitalist, the unfettered capitalist system. So what I'm saying is we are not playing our cards right as the Republicans attempt to throw the socialist mantra on us. So today, one of the blog of the week is going to kind of handle that with one particular issue, and it's something that we need to learn to do, in my humble opinion, over and over and over again. So that, without further ado, let's go ahead and start doing that. Again, let's start the program by stating exactly what it is today. Title of the program today, How to Take Back our democracy from the plutocrats with the right narrative. We continuously fail the narrative, and the reason we do, the reason we fail the narrative is not that Democrats don't know what the narrative is. I don't know any more than the average Democratic person or the average progressive. I should really call myself a progressive because I lie wherever progressives lie. Now, think about this. We all know what we want. We all know what people want. But we are cowed not by progressives proper, but an establishment that says, hey, if you do that too much, you're going to lose them. Who are you going to lose? Most of Americans already say they want the things that we want to provide. They want the things the policies that we want. Who are we going to lose? What they really mean is we're going to lose our big donors. Democrats, the established, what we like to call the establishment Democrats, they don't want to rock the boat. And I tell you what, I spoke to a fairly wealthy Democrat recently. We're working out, and I spoke to a fairly wealthy Democrat. And he's all in. He's all in with the programs that's going to help people. He's all in with all these programs. But when he said, but how do you think ultimately we're going to handle, how are we going to pay for this ultimately, Egberto? And I'm like, oh, it's easy. We're going to have, one of the things that we need to have is, and then the way I broke the story, right, or I broke it in, I don't immediately go ahead and say, tax the rich. No, that sounds terrible, right? So what I went ahead and I said, hey, the average middle class person owns a home, right? Yeah. The average, even a lot of poor people own their homes, right? Yeah. Are they also paying taxes on those homes? Yeah. Hey, by the way, where does most people hold their wealth? Some people hold their wealth in stocks. Some people hold their wealth in bonds. Some people hold their wealth in their cars. Some people hold their wealth in their jewelry. Some people hold their wealth in a whole lot of different things, right? Yeah, right. Don't they pay taxes on the cars? Don't you pay a property tax on your car? You know, every year you get that thing from the county. They charge you property. Yeah. Okay, so you say that they all got. So why isn't Jeff Bezos paying a wealth tax on, like we pay on our homes, on his $160 billion? That would raise quite a bit of money. 3%. I mean, that's kind of like what we're paying on our home right now, right? Oh, well, I'm not sure about that. So, okay, let's extrapolate it. You're asking people with less to pay more, and the people with more to pay less. Well, I mean, so we have to be all in and all ready to make the argument. So they call you a socialist. So they call you a democratic socialist. Who the hell cares? If those are the policies that are going to help your brothers, your sisters, your neighbors, your aunts, your uncles, that is what we do. I love the background. We always hit people up, right? But this background here, how do I get here? I love what, well, later on I'm going to let me take myself out of picture just so you can read this. Check out what, my friends, the sole purpose of politics done right is to empower the middle class. The sole power, and the poor. The sole purpose of politics done right is to get around the spin that you hear day in, day out, day in, day out on mainstream media, who tries to tell you you can't aspire. You cannot aspire for what's better for you. You cannot aspire to be good. You cannot aspire for what the society is supposed to provide to you. And I'm here to tell you, the absolute only reason that you can't aspire for those things, my brothers and my sisters, is because a very few people decide to take it all. I know you guys, many of you have already listened to the rant that I gave on the pricing power. Who has the pricing power, or the small amount of people that control the corporations. And when that pricing power means that as you get more liquid assets, as you get more disposable income, as you make more as a waiter, as you make more as an engineer, as you make more money, all these guys do is they say, we had to pay the engineer more. We had to pay the waiter more. But you know what we can do? If we own a drug company, we can simply increase the price of the drugs, and we take all that money back, because that money wasn't the cost of the product, so it goes right back to the shareholders. It goes right back to the owners. The same thing applies to everything, my brothers and my sisters. And what I have to try to understand, what I have to try to find a way to get to all our people, what I have to try to do, and I would love for you guys to help me as well, is how do we communicate to everybody the truths and not what you hear on MSNBC, CBS, ABC, CNN, Fox. Well, Fox, we know, is not really a news channel. How do we communicate with each other so that people feel empowered? So that you know when Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez says, "Oh, we are going to have a 70% tax rate," and then we have Senor Trump, his daughter Ivanka, says, "Oh, people don't want to get don't want you to give them things." You were not giving a darn thing. Redistribution is not a gift from the rich. Hear me out again. Remember, it's always in how people say things. Redistribution is not a gift from the rich. It is not taken from the rich. And I'm going to give you a sort of a technical term here, and then I'm going to try to explain it. Redistribution solves the aberration within capitalist markets that tend to move monies in one direction, and that's to the owners of capital. That's to rich people. That's what capitalism does. And what redistribution does, what a 70% tax rate, and I really want a 90 or more percent tax rate on very, very, very extreme incomes. Because that's what you call hoarding capital because of a defect in capitalism. Capitalism is a defective system that can only be mitigated with redistribution. I'm not saying give freeloaders money. I'm saying you have to recirculate that money back into society. So how could that be? You increase the taxes on the top and you start fixing. Look, there are a lot of roads need fixing. There are a lot of hospitals need building. There's a whole lot of things that we have to do in our society. They who are extracting that out, remember what I said, they give you a raise and you're smiling, oh wow, I got a raise today. I'm making some more money today, I'm happy. But they take it away by increasing all the other things that you're buying from them. So if I have to give you more money, all I do is increase your premiums. All I do is I make sure that celery costs about a penny more, and I make the money back that I gave you like that. You have to understand how the system works. So let's do this. Let's get into the program, and after we get into the program, we'll come back and talk. And I'd love to hear from you. 646-716-5812. Again, that number is 646-716-5812. What I'm going to do here real quickly also is I need to go ahead and bring up this messaging system so that I can actually see the messages from YouTube and Periscope and these other things that I'm not seeing right now. So bear with me as I bring that up. Okay, I've got that now. So we have to understand these things, my friend. We have to understand all these concepts. So let's go ahead and get into the program. Title of the program today, How to Take Our Democracy from the Plutocrats with the Right Narrative. And subtitle, When the Plutocracy Goes Low, We Must Not Go High. Ha ha ha. I love Michelle Obama most of the times. But when the plutocracy goes low, we don't go low. I mean, we don't go high. We must shine the light and define them as the parasitic scammers that they are, who are no different than food stamp con artists. And that is sort of what the blog of the week is going to be about. Yesterday I had dinner with a very dear friend. She pointed out a reality that progressives must heed. We stand for the values Americans say they want in poll after poll, friends. We do. I'm talking about progressives. The wards of the plutocracy, Republicans, corporatist Democrats, and a large percentage of the wealthy define these, the things people want, the things a majority of Americans say they want. They define these as socialism, as practiced in Venezuela and Cuba. Of course, they are instilling fear with these lies because they fear an enlightened America. They don't want you to understand things the way they are. They want you to understand things in such a manner that they can continue what they're doing. Big difference. So they don't give you the entire truths. They give you semblances of truth for you to then think, oh my God, this is a system. So my friend pointed out that, like herself in the past, the manner in which our economy functions is all they know. She said that much of the changes that we promote are difficult for most who are indoctrinated to consider. She is absolutely right. So what? What do we do? The plutocracy survives by lying to Americans. They imply that maintaining the status quo is existential and anything else presents a danger. Progressives cannot go high on those terms. They must make with examples that all are seeing now. In other words, you can see your healthcare getting completely unaffordable. You can see yourself not being able to save money because every time you get a raise, and every time you get a supposed tax cut, every single time any of these things happen, what immediately goes ahead and happen? Your prices on specifics go up because they're taking back what they giveth you. We have to understand these concepts, brothers and sisters. We need to. Because the only way we are going to make a change, the way people in Appalachia is going to make a change, if all of you that are listening to me, and including those that are listening to me in Appalachia, but if you have friends in Appalachia that aren't listening to me, please remember that you can talk to them better than I can, because you know why. You can get to them faster than I can because why? You know why. It's imperative that you find and talk in the language they can understand. This is not an issue about cultures. This is an issue of a plutocracy, a very few putting a very many against each other so that the very few can stay on top and watch the others fight each other because they're not fighting them, because they're not fighting for what's theirs, because they're not fighting for their birthright. What are their birthrights? All the oil under the ground belongs to every single American, but very few of us partake of those natural resources, all of the natural resources of this country. But we get corporations that find ways to maximize their profits on extracting those and giving it to a few, something that should belong to us all. And we can go on and on. The airwaves are in control. Now we have them trying to get rid of net neutrality in such a manner that we have a few people who would then be able to control the distribution of information, including this program that you're seeing. So there is a lot. There is a lot for us to take a look at. There is a lot for us to look at. There's a lot for us to really sit back and say, how do we solve these problems? How do we solve these problems? And that is what we have to be looking at going forward. So anyhow, our level, continuing. They must make the examples that all are seeing now. That is what the plutocrats are doing that makes their life not only difficult, but kills. We must do our best to make Americans realize that changing is existential. They are saying the status quo is existential because changes mean socialism. Remember Cuba. Remember Venezuela. That is what they're trying to tell you. That is how they intend on fooling you. They're going to scare you to death. That's what they're intent on doing. And what we're intent on doing here on Politics Done Right is doing one and only one thing. Telling you the truth and trying to find the way. I don't want to be conceited here, but trying to find a way to empower you. An empowered person doesn't fall for the crap, doesn't fall for what they're giving you, gives us that impetus that we need to move forward and take what is ours. So folks, without further ado, do you know what time it is? Guess what time it is?
It's time for the weekly blog post.
Okay. The title of the weekly blog post is Food Stamp Scammers Share Much in Common with Most of the Unfettered Capitalists. And why did I write this? One of the things that the right does, and when I say the right, I don't mean my average right-wing person that really doesn't know what's going on. I don't mean my friends that are right-wing who don't yet believe me or other progressives in what we're saying. We have to earn their respect, of course. But that's not who I'm talking about. Whenever I talk about the right, I'm talking about the leadership. I'm talking about those in the know. Because you know what? They know better. They know that they're lying. They know that they're pilfering you. They know that. So that's who I'm talking to. I'm not talking to you. So here is the deal. Here is the deal. Our level of indoctrination prevents us from seeing obvious similarities right under our noses. The reality is that most food stamp scammers share much in common with most of the unfettered capitalists. I want to lay down some context before I get started. I believe in free enterprise and a robust safety net, a system unable to hoard capital, which is a detriment to the economy as a whole. So that's what I believe. Everyone with their intellect and labor should have the ability to create their companies or work for others and get compensated commensurate with their efforts. Many who read some of my anti-corporate, anti-capitalist, well-researched rants falsely believe that I'm some blowhard who wants some socialist state where the takers abuse the makers. That is not so. First of all, it is not at all difficult to prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that it is the food stamp scammers share much in common with most of the unfettered capitalists who are the takers by design. They are the takers. The benefit from the labor and intellect they collect for and don't pay back equitably. So, I have in the process of but I'm in the process of since I'm devoting most of my life to a small part of those working for societal change, I had a successful company that developed software and some computer hardware from my intellect and labor. NASA, Boeing, JPL, Texaco, Chevron, among thousands of other engineers and developers use my software and hardware. I had pricing power in the food chain, and I explained the danger of that with capitalism recently. Look for that thing that I talk about, pricing power. There's a video that I did about that, please. I voluntarily chose to give up the company, downsize my lifestyle, and reduce my expenses to make something even more worthwhile. Attempt to be a part of the movement attempting to right this country. I have a daughter who I've loved to death, and all the young ones out there. Many of us have been thinking so much about self that we have mortgaged their future. And it is our economic system and those brainwashed by it who are responsible, me as well, at one time. And that is the reason I really threw everything away and said, you know what, if I'm going to talk about a system, if I'm going, I cannot in good faith continuously bash something that I'm completely a part of, that I'm completely dependent on. So there's a time that you say you make a break. And this is not saying everybody should be making breaks. That's not the case, because there are people who can stay within the system so that they can be a benefit to us all. Those of us that are out here doing that work of restructuring in such a manner that we have a more egalitarian society. So the reason my thing isn't to pat myself on the back. Oh, had this company that sold all this great software to big companies and all that kind of stuff, and now you decided to throw it all away and downsize and become a political activist. The reason I'm saying that, it is important, the reason why I'm telling you this. I'm telling you this because not the average progressive person, because they're all on. But a lot of folks that are listening to me are going to say, you're just a blowhard. And not only just a blowhard, but you're just a moocher. You want to take away what's mine. You don't want to go out there and work. You don't want to do what's necessary. And especially as a black man, and I hate to use race here, but that is always an excuse, right? You have somebody like myself talking about an egalitarian society, talking about redistribution, talking about these issues. Before they can listen to my message, they're looking at what I look like. So henceforth, that paragraph, just to say, before you hear let's get that out of the way. No, I could be just as part of this great capitalist system. In fact, I gave a story at KPFT yesterday where there a particular piece of software I sold for $10,000 a license. And I said to myself, I had to reduce that price for one specific reason, and that is that gets placed down the chain, right? Those of us with pricing power, if you have a company that is selling and you have pricing power, what that means is ultimately you are extracting money if you go very high, more so than is necessary for you to have the lifestyle you want, which is what a lot of people do, right? Whatever the market will bear, I'll charge. That means by the time it gets down to the poor person, the middle class person, you're taking more of their disposable income in fact, you're taking their disposable income and a lot of times their credit. So that's the reason I brought that up. I thought that was important because, again, like I said, before people start listening many times, you want to break what people think. So let's continue. Too many are resistant to change because they believe that our economic system is divine. It is not. It is man-made, and I mean man-made, not human-made, man-made. And it has all the features in it to ensure only the chosen can succeed. The Plutocrats The Plutocrats, via the tenets of the Powell Manifesto, brainwashed many into believing that those who work at least as long as they wear a suit and is an acceptable economic space, that they are worthy of their income, wealth, and riches. That indoctrination has caused us to disparage the ever-growing discards of a failing system, blaming them unfairly for failures of our economic model. Recently, I wrote the piece, Is the Democratic Party democratic socialist? No, though it should be, where I pointed out the following. And this is what I said in that piece. I have said for some time that progressives need to work with the Democratic Party from the precinct chair level all the way up, while it is not yet a labeled Democratic Socialist Party. By definition, the wants of most Democrats and the majority of Americans follow its tenets. It is the maligning of the word that institute fear, and it is the responsibility of brave progressives to lean into what most Americans want. The double-edged sword that progressives are fearful of is to give the needed robust critique of the corrosive nature of capitalism. I want to repeat that. It's an important statement. The double-edged sword that progressives are fearful of is to give the needed robust critique of the corrosive nature of capitalism. Just for amusement, I looked up a definition of socialism, communism, and capitalism. Of course, it tried to make communism and socialism the same. I have to fix that. They are not. But what grabbed my eyes was the following from Investopedia. And this is how they defined capitalism. Both are opposite of, or rather, this is how they determine, the three of them. Both are the opposite of capitalism, where limitations don't exist and reward comes to those who go beyond the minimum. In capitalist societies, and listen to this keenly, in capitalist societies, owners are allowed to keep the excess production they earn. What is excess production? Excess production is your work, your production. The production of your work that they decided not to pay you. That is excess production, right? And competition occurs naturally, which fosters advancement. When they talk about competition, they're not talking about competition between individuals. Like I have a software company selling serial communication software like I did, competing with Greenleaf, who also sold serial communication software. We had a healthy competition, so prices were mitigated because there were quite a few people in the market. I am one of the few that outlasted that market by probably 10 years. And why? Well, I kept my costs down low and did a whole lot of things that needed to be done. So that is something we have to understand, my friends. So anyhow, that excess product is yours. So continuing. Capitalism tends to create a sharp divide between the wealthiest citizens and the poorest. However, with the wealthiest owning the majority of the nation's resources. That is, they tell you. They tell you the definition of capitalism. To create a sharp divide between the wealthiest citizens and the poorest, and the wealthiest owns the majority of the nation's resources. Who the hell said that these guys deserved to own the majority of the nation's resources? So that's what it says. How difficult is it? I'm continuing the blog now. How difficult is it to turn owners are allowed to keep the excess production they earn into phrases like stealing from or pilfer of the worker, especially since it is enriching from the intellect and labor of others who then live in financial stress? This is not rocket science. This is not rocket science. It is the same pathology that keeps many majorities at the behest of immoral minorities. I'm coming to you, caller, after the blog. It is the same thing, folks. It is the same thing. And that is what we have to understand, right? We have to understand the pathology. We have to understand how it happens. We have to understand that this is what it does. This is what happens. Now let me continue. I left the page. Let me continue with that. Okay. Here is a sad reality. Food stamp scammers share much in common with most of the food stamp scammers, or rather, with most of the food stamp scammers share much in common with most of the unfettered capitalists. Okay? Let's examine that statement. They both make money off the labor and intellect of others. They both work out schemes in which they benefit financially on the backs of others. They both produce nothing to move society forward, but they sure as hell take a lot. Think about the person who, the CEO of Aetna or one of these insurance companies who makes $82 million a year. Where did that $82 million come from? What product did they make? What product was he in charge of to garner him $82 million? Think about it. All Americans are fighting, those of us who have their insurance, to pay their premiums. The idea is we collect a lot of premiums and then that goes to pay the bill for your health care. But my friends, that is telling you $82 million of the monies that you're putting together to pay the insurance company is going into this guy's pocket. And when you ask him, what is he doing to make you healthier? The answer is, I run an insurance company. And for that, you get $82 million? We have to start looking and looking at this stuff from not only fairness, but from thuggery. You see, if a kid goes ahead and robs a 7-Eleven, he did the worst thing. He's taking something that isn't his. He did the absolute worst thing by stealing. But you get that corporatist who goes ahead and sock it to Americans and then walk off with $82 million. Oh, he's a businessman. Friends, that's what indoctrination is all about. And that is what I am trying to break in this country as do my little part, that is. I don't want to be facetious here. I am trying to do my little part to break that. Think about it. He does nothing. Pay a bill. Or not he pays a bill. He hires people to pay a bill and pays them X amount of dollars, a little bit, and then he walks out with $82 million. And all the executives that work for that insurance companies, oh, they line their pockets, they go out on vacations, they fly on private jets, they do all those things. All the monies that they're spending are the premiums that you're providing them so that they can go pay a bill. That is what they do. Brothers and sisters, understand. Please, por favor, entienden lo que estoy diciendo, porque eso es la farsa. That's the farce that we're living with. That is the farce that we're living with. Does anyone, continuing, I know many will take exception. After all, didn't Bill Gates and Steve Jobs' intellect create computers that revolutionize efficiency and productivity? Again, that is what you were taught to believe. I want you to repeat it because people love Bill Gates, people love Steve Jobs, people love the other billionaires because they think that those are the benevolent billionaires. And callers, I'm coming to you. Those are the benevolent billionaires. So people love them. Their benevolency is nice that they're giving away a lot of their money. Not Jobs, but Gates and others. But here's the deal. I want to repeat that. I know many will take exception. After all, didn't Bill Gates and Steve Jobs' intellect create mega computer companies that revolutionize efficiency and productivity? Again, that is what you were taught to believe. Look, Bill Gates and Steve Jobs were chosen. And look up the blog that I spoke about, The Chosen, because even I was chosen, even though my company did well. And I sold to NASA, all these guys, they bought the software. They chose me. They chose to buy from me. They could have bought it from Greenleaf. Greenleaf had comparable products. So we have to remember, it's not like something absolute that everybody who tries can make it. Everybody who has a certain level can run into the field where you become the chosen. There are a lot of singers who can sing a lot better than Beyonce that weren't the chosen. There are a lot of engineers that that wanted to have their own companies that didn't, not because they couldn't, but they couldn't garner the forces to do so. There are a lot of people that way. In psychoanalyzing myself as with the companies that I had, etc., I always looked back and I always said, at first you have the cocky part of you that wants to think that you're so damn good. Then later on, you have to come in and say, yes, you're just as good as a whole lot of other people are good, and you were chosen. The capitalist system chooses who it wants to choose at any given time. Bill Gates and Steve Jobs were chosen, and then their monopolies froze most people out. Does anyone believe that only a few dozen Americans have the intellect and insight to do what they did? Absolutely not. Bill Gates isn't even the best programmer. Even when he programmed BASIC, his code wasn't all that good. I've seen it. And I program BASIC as well. And assembly, and C, Pascal, all those things. Just like thousands of churches have singers as good or better than Mariah Carey, but not chosen, the same applies to technology. When selected, the system is designed to keep others out. Sadly, in that regards, the food stamp scammers share much in common with most of the unfettered capitalists, even more damaging than the food stamp con artists. The internet was starting to make our system more democratic and egalitarian. As the regime realized that all kinds of controls have started changing said democratic model, selective content search downgrades and arbitrary removals are beginning to modify behavior undemocratically. I made the purposeful inflammatory assertion that food stamp scammers share much in common with most of the unfettered capitalists or like food stamp scammers for a reason. It is a legal scam. It is legal to scam workers based on our economic model. It is illegal to rip off the taxpayer by illegally getting and trading food stamps. Both should be wrong, as they are based on the same basal instinct, getting something from the efforts of others. Folks, the telephone number is 646-716-5812. Again, that number is 646-716-5812. And let me go to my Skype caller. Come on in, caller.
Yes, dear Egberto. How are you, sir?
How are you doing, my friend? Talk to me.
Yes, sir. You know, today in United States, actually, representative in Washington State, Pramila Jayapal.
Jayapal, yes.
Medicare for all Medicare for all will lower costs and expand healthcare coverage to everyone.
Right.
And so we congratulate her indeed for that. I mean, yes, we are behind other countries. I mean, many people, maybe in the United States, they have not traveled even across to go to Canada or even anywhere within the 20 miles of their house. So, of course, for them, it's very hard to understand what we are saying. What we are saying is we are the richest nation in the world. I mean, how come we have many people are uninsured, and you know that will make economic even worse if they cannot get their money. I mean, yes, maybe they tax right of it, but I mean, come on, it's better to give a good, free medical health care and to everyone, in which long-term care is included, vision care is included, dental is included. So this is the right thing to do for the country. But I don't understand. Some people oppose it. It's like, no, how we are going to pay? Yes, we are going to pay it with single payer. Go ahead, please.
No, absolutely. Absolutely, son. The thing about it being more expensive is a ruse. It is definitely not expensive. I saw a meme recently that said, how can $39 trillion be more than $47 trillion? And what it is that the current system is going to cost, the current system as is right now costs $47 trillion. The system as these people want it will cost that much less. So it is a ruse, my friend, and it is a ruse that we shouldn't stand for, and it is a ruse like you are. I'm coming to you next caller. Should be ready to refute. You should be ready to let people know exactly what the truth is, and that is why we have politics done right as well. The idea here is we are going to make the truth known. Period. We are not going to sit back and let these people define what reality is, because that is why Americans are so confused. What is your name again, sir? I forgot.
Yeah, my name is Mike from Singapore, my friend.
Yeah, Mike. Yeah. The thing about it, Mike, is that they want Americans to not realize what the truth is. But Mike, stay with me. Let me bring a caller from 337
Sure.
on. 337, come on in. You're on 337. 337, you're on.
Hello?
Yes, you're on.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, well, are you a Trump supporter?
No, I'm not. Are you?
Okay, well, God bless you. God bless you.
Okay. Okay, I guess. I'm trying to figure out if I said something that made it seem like I was a Trump supporter. I'm not quite sure. But no, I'm not a Trump supporter. I'm not a Trump supporter. Anything else that you want to add to this, Mike?
Yes, since you were talking about the technology that you have worked with NASA,
Right.
NASA runs on Linux, open source technologies.
Right, I know.
And, Ubuntu 18.40 or Linux Mint, or they have a variety of Linux,
Right.
people know that. And also, so was your, I assume you work with open source technologies.
I worked with both open source, but I worked under Windows, I worked under Unix, I worked under PLM, I worked under OS3, on the OS 360, on that interesting language. I'm an old timer. I programmed just about every system up until the last 8 years or so when I decided to go cold turkey and do political activism. So yeah, I do all of that. In the long run,
great.
all on
So
communications.
then me and
yes.
you are more friends to each other. Me and you are more friends to each other because open source is the key to your future. And I ask the people, go to linuxfoundations.com, get a free lessons from them. It's totally free. Or linux.com and softpedia.com. And click on Linux and find out the latest technology.
I am sure
information.
I'm sure the
that is
people at
happening.
Linux are going to be happy for you. But let me do a quick thing here. I need to go ahead and I always forget to ask people to subscribe to Politics Done Right. So before we continue the conversation, and folks, I have a whole lot more to say. But before we continue the conversation, I want to go ahead and really ask people to please go ahead and become subscribers to Politics Done Right. Subscribers to Politics Done Right start as low as $1.99. Folks, I really would love to we need to get thousands of subscribers because there's a whole lot that we do. As you can see on Monday, we actually did Politics Done Right from a bus. We brought you Politics Done Right on Monday from a bus. We went to Austin to lobby for the Medicaid expansion to the Affordable Care Act. So we are not just here sitting back in back of a computer. We're doing a whole lot of things. And those of you who subscribe, anybody who subscribed to us right now gets, How to Make America Utopia. It's a book that I'm writing right now. And for those of you who get it, as I write, every chapter that I write, I go ahead and put it up there. I've completed chapter 1 and chapter 2, working on the other subsequent chapters. So please go ahead and subscribe at patreon.com/politicsdoneright. That is patreon.com/politicsdoneright. You also get a full copy online of our book, which is already complete. It's been completed, called As I See It, Class Warfare, the Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom. Of course, you can get the book at Amazon as well, but we would much be more, it would really help the movement if you subscribe to Politics Done Right at patreon.com/politicsdoneright. A small subscription, and you get the book you can read the book online, and help us do what we need to do. This year, we need to go to, we are going to Philadelphia. We're going to, of course, to D.C. more than once to take care of business. We're probably going to try to get some interviews out there in D.C., New Orleans, and I don't know if we're hitting the West Coast this year or not. But the important thing is we need your support to really move this forward. I have visions. I have a 10-point plan that if you go to our Politics Done Right or egbertowillies.com, you can see what our 10-point plan is for Politics Done Right. But I tell you, one of my dreams is to go out there and get a van, a Politics Done Right van, and drive around the entire country. And I'm not only talking about areas where you think about. I'm talking about driving around to Appalachia, driving around to places that don't get noticed, and really start to talk about empowering folks. And people are going to say, are you going to go to Appalachia? I'll probably have somebody with me when I'm going to Appalachia, though. But the idea here is to go ahead. I want to go out there. It's not about just staying behind a desk or something like that. It's going out there and doing some stuff. And that is my ultimate goal in the long run. But right now, what we have to build is we have to build a large membership base. And we're way behind. So what I'm asking you, please go to patreon.com, patreon.com/Politics Done Right, and join the family. Become a member of Politics Done Right. Get the entire book, As I See It, Class Warfare, The Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom. If you want a bumper sticker for your car, we have bumper stickers. We're in the process of getting some cups and some other things. So we are going to have the works for you. And as soon as these things come out, our membership will get information as, hey, we have this, hey, we have that. So As I See It, Class Warfare, The Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom. Check it out. Go to Politics Done Right, or rather go to patreon.com/Politics Done Right. If you want to see where our books are, just go to egbertowillies.com/ I don't remember, but just actually egbertowillies.com and just click on books. There, it's one of the menu items. But anyway, folks, today the subject was again the narrative. Our subject today, the title of the show today is How to Take Back Our Democracy from the Plutocrats with the Right Narrative. But the subtitle is even more important. It is. When the plutocracy goes low, we must not go high. In other words, we have to stop that game about thinking that going high, be high-minded, is going to somehow solve our problems. We must shine the light and define them as the parasitic scammers that they are, who are no different than food stamp con artists. It is imperative that we do that. And we start that. If you notice, one of the things that I did today is I made that analogy between the food stamp scammer and that executive, and I also spoke to you about the insurance executive, the CEO, who makes not hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars. And all I ask you, when you hear about all these corporate executives making these millions, right? I ask you to ask yourself, where is that money coming from, and for what did they get? For doing what did they get that money? And then I ask you to look at what you do to keep society going. Whether you're a waiter, whether you're a doctor, whether you're a lawyer, whether you're a garbage man. First of all, I respect every single profession because it is needed to keep an economy, to keep a society going, right? So, the goal here. Yes. Yeah, go ahead. You want to say something, Mike?
Yes. I want you please check these two books on Amazon and report it to us the next time when you have a program, I believe tomorrow. The Mueller's report by Washington Post and Mueller's report by Alan, let me bring it up, Alan, Alan Dershowitz.
Okay.
So how is that possible? That this are they going to give everybody the reports that he found out? One by Washington Post, one is by
no, I think
Alan Dershowitz.
No, Dershowitz. No, I don't know. I tell you what, send me the link that you're talking about so that I can actually research that. So
just go to Amazon. Just put the Robert Mueller report. And you should find both books right there in any Amazon.
They're not out yet, right? They're not. The books are out already, is what they're saying, because there's
no.
Okay.
They're March 26th.
Okay,
March 26th
I got you.
will come out, but they take
Okay, I got what you're saying. I think it's more a book that's going to explain the results of the Mueller report or Mueller's report or something. But no, we don't even know if after the Mueller report comes out, if the president will allow them to release that report. We don't even know that. So I mean, that is definitely premature. What they're saying there, it is definitely premature. So folks, please go ahead and let me put my little, because I just realized we went a lot of times without really asking. So let me put that back on the screen again, folks. Please go ahead and go to patreon.com/politicsdoneright. Again, that is patreon.com/politicsdoneright. And support, please subscribe to Politics Done Right. Let's continue getting the message out. I am not sure if I was supposed to have the guest this week that actually got Donald Trump on tape. He got Donald Trump on tape lying about his millions, and he just wrote another article for the Washington Post. I have a call in with him. He was supposed to be on the show sometime this week. I will try to get him for this week. I'm not sure if he's going to be on, but we have a whole lot to talk about going forward. I want to tell you again, for those folks, because we have people coming and going. The purpose of Politics Done Right is to help empower people, to help with the information that allows them not to buy the crap that they're going to hear on the mainstream media, so that they can understand that they are important to the system and not the other way around, that the system couldn't exist without them. And as such, we shouldn't be just out there begging and asking the plutocrats, begging and asking the politicians for things, because we are just a part of it as they are. I want to make you understand that that the plutocrats, that the CEOs and all these folks that we revere should not be revered. All of us should be revered. I am trying to break that down. This stuff about star power for the undeserving is what I'm trying to get to. I'm trying to get to that point where everybody sees everybody as deserving. Because if we see everybody as deserving, then we do not allow those others, right? We don't allow other people to make us less than, because if you are made less than, we can pay you less than, we can take care of you less than. That is how it works. It works to break your spirit. That is the intent of the Powell Manifesto. That is the intent of mostly everything you see on TV. It is to tell you that it's the others. When you see how a whole group of rich folks, Jenner is now the youngest billionaire on the planet. One of the Kardashians, the youngest billionaire on the planet. I want to ask you all, I mean, and this isn't wealth envy, folks. It isn't at all. I don't care how much money folks have. The truth of the matter is, give me a laptop, give me WordPress, and just allow me to talk to people. Just allow me to blog. Give me an internet connection, and I'm happy. I am not the type of person that needs a whole bunch of money. I just need to survive. So having Kris Jenner or what's her name, being worth $1 billion is neither here nor there. However, it is in fact extractive. And that is what people don't understand about our economic system. That Kris Jenner can accumulate $1 billion producing and putting nothing back into the economy explains the disease that is the economic system. And people say, oh, well, people like her and that's why she's made. No, it's not. It's fine that people like you. Nobody wants to take that away from you. But to capitalize on that more so than the people who like you, right, is the issue. And that is where I want people to go. That is where I want people's minds to be. I want them to know that Politics Done Right, the goal of Politics Done Right is to move them into the direction that shows them how we can mitigate these particular issues. Anything else you want to say, Mike, before we close?
Yes. People have a bad information about, other systems that are available to help United States of America. And they, if you want Medicare for all, you are a socialist.
Right.
or you are a communist, or this and that. But that's not going to be solve the problems, because we want good for all the people of United States, even those people who can afford to pay their insurance, and rich people. We want them also to get have access to the medical for all. We don't phase out them either.
Absolutely
This is a beautiful system, medical for all. But unfortunately, in the United States, as soon as you say, they label you XYZ, and that's not right.
Well, the truth of the matter is, like I've been telling Democrats now and progressives, lean in. Do not fear being called a socialist. Do not fear being called a democratic socialist. Go out there and campaign. Go out there and tell Americans what you intend to do for them. Let them know the policies that you support. If they love your policies, so what if the Republicans are calling you a socialist, a Venezuela, whatever? If you like if the people like the policies that you're putting out there, all the better. All the better. Well, Mike, thank you so kindly for having been a part of the show as usual. Great to have you on board. Okay, my friend?
Thank you so much, too.
Absolutely so.
Thank you very much indeed.
Yes,
Bye-bye.
yes, sir. Now, folks, let me tell you. I want you all to understand, again, the purpose of our show. The purpose of our show is to empower. The purpose of this show is to ensure that going forward, you don't allow others to tell you how to think. I'm not asking you to just accept what I'm saying at face value at all. I am not asking for that. Everything that I say, you can go ahead and research on your own and find out. If you build up a level of trust, I promise you, with us here, I promise you, I don't intend on breaking that trust. So, I ask those of you that are listening on one last pitch. Please go to patreon.com/politicsdoneright. Again, that is patreon.com/politicsdoneright. Please join the family. Please be a part of the show. It is important for us to move forward. So with that, my name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right. And you know exactly how I end this show. And it goes this way. I am out.
Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is the progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. Remember, you can also send me a tweet to EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right.
1, 2, 3, 4.